Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Jerry, Papa Shrimp. This is your first time to my channel, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that way you can stay up to date on future video. I have some cool video here and footage that I wanted to share with you, kind of give you a little bit of update on what's been going on with my shrimp tanks. I've been working on trying to rebuild my colonies and my collection of shrimp tanks, in between, of course, running a store and quarantining fish. So it's been a little bit of a process, and it's taken me a little bit of time to get things set up. I started with this setup in the fish room back in March, and since March I've been adding and building racks and getting everything situated, my central airline system. But what I have going now, you see these extreme blue boats, blue steels. Started off with only 6 shrimp, and now I have several hundred. I'll have those available soon on the website at jadronaquatics.com. I have separated quite a few from this tank, so I have 2 or 3 tanks now with these blue bolts and blue steel variations. I have also some fry that came by crossing a tangerine tiger with one of the males in this blue bolt tank. It's pretty cool. It looks like they have orange eyes, and some of them even have like a fishbone pattern on them. I'm gonna have to let them grow up a little bit so that way we can really see what they are. But what I'm planning on doing is pulling these shrimp out and putting them in a tank that I have cycling. So that's gonna be interesting, to say the least, to see what we get out of that. I'm just really surprised that the tangerine tiger and a blue bolt produced this kind of offspring. And again, it's kind of surprising to see the fishbone stripes also. So orange eyes, a reddish, orangish body, and some white stripes on it. That's kind of cool looking, so I'm pretty excited. But as you can see, the blue steel also have some really awesome colorations. They got a nice pigmentation to them. I also do have some pure red line shrimp. I only have 10 of them, but I already have a couple of buried females. That's progress, so that I can share these shrimp with you as well. Don't forget to sign up for the American Shrimp Contest, by the way. You got to register by October 25th, so that's Monday. It's going to be at the Dallas Market Hall on October 30th and 31st. The contest will be judged Saturday morning, and the winners will be announced on Sunday. So get your shrimp in. I was going to enter some of my shrimp into the contest, but since I am going to be a judge at the American Shrimp Contest, I decided that I would not be competing and take the honor of being a judge at the American Shrimp Contest instead. So that's going to be exciting. Papa Shrimp gets to be a judge for the American Shrimp Contest. It's, wow, it really is an honor. I have to send love and thanks to Joe at Joe's Shrimp Shack, Eric at bipetshrimp.com, Grant Eder at Garden of Eder, and Rob Lupton at Flip Aquatics. All you guys, thanks for keeping me in consideration and giving me the call and the opportunity. It's going to be pretty exciting. So back to these pure red lines. If you noticed in some of these shots, I have a pretty cool moss tree. Actually a couple of them in this tank that I'm looking forward to seeing how they come out. And of course I want to make more for my other shrimp tanks because it's really cool looking. And of course I want to get some good use out of this hooker moss that you see that I got I'm trying to propagate it and get it growing. I also do have some red fishbone shrimp, and this is kind of an unfortunate story, but I've had this strain and these shrimp for probably a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. And the line has gone from hundreds to just a couple, back to hundreds, back to just a couple. And a lot of it was because of moving, changing tanks, moving across the country. There was just a lot of transition for these shrimp to go through, and unfortunately, I did suffer some losses. But again, here, this one right here is buried, and as you can see, I'm going to be working on building that colony back up. And again, mainly for myself, but also so that way I can share shrimp and use some of the things that I have learned. Is really my goal. The more I can learn about breeding shrimp and keeping them alive and healthy, the more I can share that information with everybody else, and we can continue to grow the hobby and make shrimp keeping and breeding just a really cool and fun hobby. So here's my Caridina tank that in the last edited video that I made, I showed you how I put it together and the shrimp that I had in it. Of course, right after that, I went into surgery and had to go through a major recovery process. I'm still kind of going through it, but luckily this tank was set up already. And as I had explained in the previous video, it was pretty much set and forget. I set it up, put the plants in it, got it all situated with the shrimp, fish, and snails, and voila. This is what we have. The result is basically this tank that I've only done a slight 50% water change a couple of weeks ago, and that's really all the maintenance I've done, other than, you know, clean the glass off and trim some of the plants here and there and trim some of the mosses that were really taking over. Plus I used it to put in some other tanks and get those tanks seeded with the moss that I had in this tank. So this is turning out to be still a beautiful tank. It's one of my favorites. I've taken most of the shrimp out and moved them into other tanks, but I'm letting it kind of settle again so that way I can get going on just probably a Skittles tank is really all I want this one for. And of course, I do have tanks that I'm getting ready. This one right here is a 10-gallon that I, again, put some moss on, some spider wood to make little moss trees. This was when I first set it up and got some spider wood and moss in it. And of course, a couple of pieces of cholla wood. And now you can start to see where the biofilm is starting to collect. Got a little bit of algae on the glass, so that's a good thing. This is about 4 weeks in, and algae growth is nice. It's all over the moss and spider wood. It's on the glass. So I'm feeling pretty good about this being ready for some shrimp. Baby fry that have the orange eyes and white stripes to them are going into this tank with the tangerine tiger mother that they came from. And I'm also going to be putting a blue aurora male in there. And I kind of just want to see what kind of genetics that we get out of it. These 3 tanks here are also brand new. They were set up at the same time as the first tank that I showed you. Just letting them settle. This is really all I do when I start a tank. The matte filters that I have in this setup, great for 3 more tanks, just enough. And got that in there and put my substrate and the RO water, remineralized it. And then yes, I added a moss tree. You know me and my moss trees, but I added that one there. And the center tank, it's some tang around some spiderwood. Hopefully after Aquashella, I'll come home with some shrimp to put in these tanks because they've been cycling for over a month and they are good to go, ready for shrimp. See you guys around next time. Thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate everything you do, all of your support. And like I said, if you haven't, please subscribe and hit that notification bell.